do you deal with the heightened expectations from last season to this season now? Is it a different feel, a different message going in?
Well, it is a different feel. The message isn't necessarily any different. We talk about earning it. We did that last year. Had the type of season that we had because we went out there. We didn't take anything for granted. Didn't assume we were going to get the good call or the right bounce. And we went out every single day in practice and got after it. And while I think certainly the experience is much better, and I think the confidence is a little bit higher because of that. That's been our message a lot, has been maintaining that same level of focus, that same attitude of we've got to go out and earn everything. And if anything, it's going to be even more difficult this year with the fact that we're not going to be able to sneak up on a couple of teams that I think we were able to this past season.
And what are you, 28 freshmen or whatever it is, but this might be the first time in a long time that you've not had to plug them in almost immediately. And maybe there was a little bit of that last year, but is it just different with having? I mean, now it's seniors and juniors as opposed to it was freshmen and sophomores for the first couple of years? Yeah,
no question. No question. I mean, we've got more experience on this football team than any other team that we've had in the prior 4 seasons. There are a lot of talented freshmen that have come in. We've had 8 practices so far, and a lot of them stepped up. We had a big scrimmage yesterday, and a number of them showed that they're very, very talented. But with that being said, we are not looking at our 2 deep and saying, boy, we have to pencil in a freshman for week 1 against Duquesne, and that's a great feeling. Now we may have a couple of players that by the time camp is done have earned their way into a starting spot or a supporting role spot. Certainly special teams, I'm sure we're going to have some freshmen that will be playing, but as of right now, it's really good to be in this type of shape from a depth standpoint. And we're enjoying it right now through camp.
Siebel is coming off of shoulder surgery. He didn't play in the spring game. Is he going to be ready to go for the season?
Well, he in our scrimmage yesterday, he saw some limited action. He was 4 for 4, so he looked relatively sharp. But there's no question that he's not 100% quite yet. We're going to be very careful with him. We're going to bring him along very slowly. We want to make sure that he is 100% before we're throwing him in the heat of a game action. So we're still not sure. We're taking it one day at a time, and if that means he's ready for Duquesne, that's great. If not, we've got some talented backups that will get a chance to shine in that game.
And what have you seen from those other guys, Chris?
Yeah, Chris Duncan has had a really good camp so far. He's stepped up. He's, I think he tested out athletically, strength-wise, speed-wise. He's better than he's ever been. He's more comfortable with the offense. Going into really year 3, I think there's a level of confidence in him that he perhaps lacked a year ago at this time. So we're very, very confident that if Jimmy's not ready to go, Chris will be there to step up there and help us get a big win.
You talked about some of your experienced players, and it seems like the linebacker core on defense is where that experience is most profound. So what have you seen out of those guys the first few weeks of camp?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're leaders, and that's really where I look at first. It's not just necessarily their performance on the field, but it's the effect that they're having on the linebacking core, the defense, and the football team as a whole. And when you've got guys like Mike Wheeler and Drew Snoffer and Nick Turner that are there, and they've been through the fire so often, they're not just talented, experienced football players. They are great leaders, and that's, I think, one of the hallmarks of this senior class in general, is we do have a lot of experienced players, but they are great leaders.
There is kind of a urban legend growing about a freshman linebacker who ran like a 4.5 40 and jumps through the gym or anything like that. Is it any of these freshmen jump off the page?
Well, no, we've had several guys. You're talking about Helm, who certainly really impressed on testing. We've had a lot of freshmen who have stepped up and really made plays. I think if you look from yesterday's scrimmage, Ollie Reese had a big day at wide receiver. I think he was our leading wide receiver. We had Kenny Brewer caught a big touchdown pass. There have been several guys who stepped up and made big tackles on the defensive side of the ball. So they got a lot of reps. We really wanted to work, knowing that with our depth being where we're at, I mean, shoot, we're more than 4 deep at several positions right now. We want to make sure that the freshmen really got a lot of snaps in yesterday's scrimmage, so they could kind of, for the first time, experience some success at the college level, and certainly a bunch really stepped up.
I'm going to get his last name wrong, but Jesse Studevant.
Studevant, yes.
It seems he is a like a program guy. It seems like he's a very much of a face of you guys. He's been limited with injuries. I mean,
sure.
What can he bring to the field?
Yeah, no, I mean he's a good football player, and of course last year I think he was only able to play in perhaps one contest with the injury that he had to the hand, but he's back. He's 100%, and he's another guy who's an excellent leader. Done it right from the day he stepped foot on this campus, and he is amongst many good football players that we have currently on the defensive line.
And a week 1 bye seems awfully unusual for you guys, but it might help considering your quarterback status. But
sure.
I guess when you saw that on the schedule, what was your reaction?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's great for Jimmy to have that extra week. But I've been on both sides of that coin. When I coached in the Patriot League and when I coached in the Ivy League, I've been, the Ivy League season has always started 2 weeks later than the rest of the Division I FCS level, and when I was at Lehigh, we always played an Ivy our first game, and it was always, for their first game, it was always our third game, their first, and then when I coached at Harvard, I was on the opposite side. It was our first game, and we were always playing a team like Holy Cross. It was their third game. So there are advantages of being on both sides. For Duquesne's situation, they'll have a couple of games under their belt. They will be much more experienced and seasoned with their players. It's just kind of been their first time into the fire. I know they have a number of transfers that are in their program, and they get a chance to gel in those first 2 weeks. So that's the advantage that they get. The advantage that we get is hopefully we might be a little bit healthier at that particular point. You're right, Jimmy might, given that extra week, be ready to go. And they haven't seen. Haven't seen our offense or defensive scheme, special teams. We won't have really any tendencies to go off of. So there are benefits and advantage to both sides. The one thing that I don't like about it is the fact that we have to play 11 straight weeks, as opposed to a year ago where we played 7 games, had a bye, and then finished with 4. This year having to go 11 straight, that can be tough, especially if we get banged up early on in the season, because you never really get a chance to catch your breath and heal up like we were able to do a year ago.
Running back, is that a wide open position? Do you have a guy or two in mind right now?
Well, it certainly is a deep position for us right now. Maceo from Portage, actually, he was another freshman who came out and played very, very well yesterday as well. But we've always been, over the past couple of years, more of a running back by committee. We kind of take the best of the strengths, and of course, obviously, we lose Jarrett Morgan, who is in that rotation. But we really do have 3 guys that are back. Kyle Cartalis is our starter as of right now, and he certainly would be the guy that will be most likely to be there for to take the first snap. But Cody Boxrucker has played an awful lot, had a lot of success, especially as a short yardage and a goal line type of a running back. And Elias Early had a decent amount of carries this past year as well, and he's back for his senior year. So that's another position that we have depth, we have experience, and we're not just going to rely on one guy to carry the load.